Now, I just saw a Twitter thread that I'm being misrepresented by the PT in.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love the deets.
So he was just here a little while ago picking up tickets to the Flyers game, and he was asking about, like, I guess Mays and Aton were discussing him playing golf today, and it came up about how Harry was annoyed with PT the day we played at the LPGA because PT doesn't shut up.
Right.
He made the round take forever, and Harry was rushing because he had to get back to do the show at noon.
Right.
So, of course, in typical PT fashion, instead of thinking of others, he said, the next time you have to take the day off so you don't have to hustle. So PT wants to continue to slow everybody down and make that guy not work, not realizing that not everybody's the PT can just stroll and take off when they so choose. But so I also was misrepresented in this Twitter exchange because it started off by Harry May saying you have to ask, Mike Gill, and then Pete Thompson said, I heard a little. He's playing it up like you'll never play golf with me again. I didn't say that at all. I just said he was annoyed. I didn't say he would never play with him again. Those words never left my mouth at all. He says, I think you should make sure you don't have to do a show that day. Enjoy the round.
It all sounds pretty childish to me.
Sounds very PT selfish-like.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, yeah. I only have one brother, but you would definitely be my other brother because I alternate between wanting to hug you and sock you.
Well, I never said that he didn't want to play golf with you again. I said he said that you were annoying.
Yeah, you always say that. Then when I say something to him, he's like, I didn't say that. Plus, I noticed you didn't start where the...
We can pull the tape on that one. He actually said it live on the air today.
All right, well, I'd like Josh to cue that up. I don't know who this Bruno's cousin is, but that was a little outrageous to start the thread.
Yeah, well, that there was like a little outrageous.
Just a little outrageous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right, so fine. So if you say I misrepresented you, once again, now we've had two Tuesday with Thompsons in a row where you're playing it out like, I'm just there is definitely, because we're teaching storytelling in school right now, you are always the protagonist in every story, and I am the antagonist, which means you are the hero and I am the villain.
Well, you misrepresented me like this.
You played it up like he was ticked off, like he never wanted to play golf with me again.
No. I just said he was
that originally, like way back in the day. You made it seem like he was so steamed.
Well, the day of, he was. The day of, I was like, Harry, he gets a little, he can be a little
cantankerous. Yes.
Cantankerous.
Well, the day of, he had unrealistic expectations. Whether I was there or not, he was going to have trouble making his start time for his show.
Yeah. Well, let's say if we got through 15 with you, he could have got through maybe 17 without you.
You are a maestro.
Those 2 holes. Those 2 holes are a difference maker.
Well, Harry, those 2 holes are a big difference maker. I could have bailed out at 13. I wouldn't care.
Right.
But Harry was there to play.
Sure.
Not shake hands, kiss babies.
I enjoy the fact that you spun my tweet into a typical PT, only thinking of himself, telling Harry to change his schedule. I think that's a good suggestion. You shouldn't have to do a show on the day that you're enjoying all the fruits and cheeses and meats and cheeses that come with all the accoutrements.
Well, part of
the
media day is so that you play and then go on the air and talk about your experience in playing that.
Now you're mixing stuff. The media day is something else. The Pro-Am, the media day is before the tournament. Yes, you play the course and you play with other media. The Pro-Am is an entirely different experience. And to rush through that is just a crying shame. I think you need to take it slow and have fun as you go.
Well, he didn't play in the media day.
Well, there you go. I don't control that. He could. I'm sure he's invited.
Maybe, PT. We'll see. So,
all right.
We got the end of the first half of the Flyer season. You'll be in the building tonight. Now, this is going to be interesting because Hunter Brody does not know that you'll be sitting right next to him, I believe.
Oh, he knows now. I've reached out to him and let him know. Yeah.
How would they not know that?
Out of the bag.
Yeah.
What do you mean, how would he not know that?
I'm sure they They didn't plan going up together?
No, I gave them both the tickets.
Oh, well, there
But
you go.
I gave Hunter the tickets on Saturday, and then I had an extra pair, and I gave them to Pete today. So neither one
who's
of them.
Pete going with?
Yeah.
He's taking his girlfriend's son.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So neither one of them knew that the other one had the tickets. I
That's
told him.
classic.
So I figured that Pete wouldn't tell them and just show up and be like, "What are you doing here?"
No. I knew he was going, so the minute I knew I was going, I texted him to find out first of all, I didn't know that his tickets were right next to mine because you didn't share that information with me. So I texted him to find out where he was going to be and who he was going with. And he was supposed to take his lovely girlfriend, but she can't go, so he's taking a buddy.
Now, do you think she heard that you were going and backed out because she thought you would talk to her the whole game?
Yes, she heard I was going, and she heard that I get a little salty with my language, and she's like, I can't sit next to a guy like that.
Right, and she bailed out at the last minute?
Good Lord. You should write fiction. You really should write for the WWE or whatever it's called now.
Probably got to be a higher paying job than this.
You definitely love to have the hero and the heel.
Yeah, well, so let me get your thoughts on this, PT, where the Flyers are playing the Pens. Now, you were on that road trip, so don't cause them to lose because they've played well without you there. We went to the game on Saturday. They lost that game too, but they've been playing well without you.
I have seen, I saw them win in Anaheim, and I saw them beat Vegas at home early in the season. Other than that, have I seen another win? I'm really having a hard time racking my brain. And, yeah, because there also is the bye week. You know, they got the All-Star game and they got the break, so they don't want to go into this bye week with, remember, they lost the first meeting. The Flyers lost 7-1 in Pittsburgh. They don't want to have one of those stinkeroos before they go into the big break. So they need to come out and play well tonight. And it came out today they're going to be without Michael Raffel. He's going to be out of the lineup. So, that means everybody moves around. Joel Farabee moves up to left wing with Coots and Voracek. And, if you're counting on German Rubitsov to play left wing and have an impact, that gets a little dicey.
Yeah, well, and Ryan had mentioned earlier that it doesn't feel like the Flyers and Pens have met a whole lot this year. So, I saw when they got finished that West Coast trip that you were on, I said, this is not going to be good for them because the schedule was going to get really tough. But they have done a good job navigating their way through this. I'm impressed.
They have done a good job
for the games you're at.
Through this. I mean, the one thing, they're good against teams in the East and good against teams in their division. And fortunately, the schedule breaks down in such a way in the second half where they have a lot of teams. They play a lot of games. I mean, basically, all their travel is done, and that's a plus, The one thing that's a little scary, specifically tonight, is that, Sidney Crosby's back. He was out, so they're going to get Crosby and Malkin. Here's that number, too. 33 games they have left, and they're 18-6-4 against Eastern Conference opponents. So 24 of their last 33 are against the East. That bodes well if the numbers hold up.
I saw something interesting, PT, with Jeff Carter. A potential trade back in Philly?
Well, and Carter still has juice left in the tank. He scored a goal, if I'm not mistaken, against the Flyers when they were out in Los Angeles as part of that 4-goal period. That first period. So never say never. I mean, I'm trying to look up his contract while I'm talking to you because he had that gigantic. I think
he's under contract for next season.
Deal.
Yeah, he's under contract for next season, and he's 21-22 as well with a cap hit of $5.2 million.
Oh, and the guy's 35. So
and he's 35.
That gets a little restrictive there, buddy. I mean, it would be nice, but unless I don't know, you don't tear up a contract too.
Right.
His base salary is $3 million, but then his cap hit is 5.2, basically 5.3 the next 3 years.
Right. Are they going to need a trade? Is that something that you would support, or is that a force? Like, what is this team missing in your mind right now?
Last week when we talked, that news was just coming out about Chuck Fletcher saying that Nolan Patrick will come back. That I feel internally, and I sat at a Flyers table last night with Lou Nolan and some other people from the Flyers organization, which was fun. Riley Cote was there. We talked about whether fighting belongs in the NHL. hopefully Riley Cote is going to come on my show at some point on the Pete Thompson show and talk about that. But I look at it like this, and I think this is how they're looking at it too. If they can get some guys back healthy and that they don't need to go out and make some big trade, and they really don't have a lot of cap wiggle room anyway. They're pretty close up against it, Ryan.
All right.
Yeah, well, and by the way, the trade deadline in the NHL isn't until February 24th, which is interesting because the NBA is February the 6th, so almost a full month ahead of the NHL. So the Flyers will have almost a whole month. It's Friday's the 24th, so 1 month from Friday to the trade deadline. But the Carter Hart thing too, that'll be interesting. I mean, he's out for another week or so, but luckily this break comes up, so they should get him back sometime right after the break here. And I really, as soon as they get out of this All-Star break, it's down the stretch they come, and it's going to be very interesting because they're kind of, I was looking at this the other day, Peter. They have as many points as the leader in the West, so it's a pretty good indication of how they have been a pretty solid team all year long. I mean, they're basically, the East is loaded.
And people forget that they were the best team in hockey for the month of November. They went on a run and a tear where, they've been very, very good at home, and they went on a run in November where they almost, I want to say, couldn't lose, right? So, if you put all that together, you get back a healthy Carter Hart, you win the games that you're supposed to win against the East, and continue, I guess we'll call that, continue to feast on the East. And yeah, Mike, like you said, the trade deadline in hockey is not like the trade deadline in basketball. There's not such drama and all the stuff that goes with it, or even, quite frankly, the trade deadline in baseball. But still, people do tend to move. The Flyers, because of where they are in cap size, I don't think I don't expect any kind of blockbuster move out of the Flyers. In fact, I saw something about somebody asking, would Shane Gostisbehere get moved? And they'd move him tomorrow if anybody was interested in him. But I think that the verdict is out on Shane Gostisbehere. He's not as attractive a player to other teams as maybe he was in his rookie season when he was dialing it up almost on a nightly basis and scoring dramatic goals on the power play. Is he a better player? He started to work on his defense, but he's still a one-way offensive guy, and I think a lot of other teams see that. They got Justin Braun back. That's been a big plus, and that helped them play better the other night. But they got to come out and play well tonight because he can't go into that long break with not even a loss. An embarrassing loss would be terrible, but just a loss would be bad too.
Well, the trouble, and I said that, their 58 points is better than the Pacific. They're tied. They would be tied for the lead in the Pacific, not the West overall. But currently in the Metro, not good, PT. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in the Metro. Now, just a couple of points really separate, but the top 3 teams in each side get in, and then the top 2 point getters. But they have more points than the 4th team in the East, so it's really about finishing in one of those top spots in the Metro side, which is just a very deep. They happen to be in the deepest division in hockey.
Yeah, and the Metro is always one of the good divisions of hockey. It's always strong, and that's why, it doesn't do them any favors when they go up. I mean, the Capitals are good. The Penguins are good. The Islanders are not awful. When you run into those teams, and those are the teams that you're going to see on a regular basis, or to put it another way, thank God for the Rangers and Devils, because if you didn't have them around, there might not be anybody that you could beat on a regular basis. But, it's going to be a challenge. They've had a good record, like I said, against Eastern teams, and they have a good home record. Their home record is 16-4-4. That's one of the better home records in the league. So if they can continue to keep that up and win the games they're supposed to, I think they'll be a playoff team.
All right, PT's thoughts on this Eagles offensive coordinator situation. Another guy today, Mike Kafka, has decided he's going to stay with the Chiefs. Graham Harrell, he's staying with USC. James Urban, he decided to stay with Baltimore.
Yeah, I heard John McMullen today too, and I enjoyed that as you sort of sit there and ask yourself, when did the Eagles become such an undesirable situation? I thought John's points were spot on, that there's no way Doug wanted to get rid of Mike Rowe. He was told to get rid of Mike Rowe, and other people see that, and then you think, well, why do I want to go there? Sure, it's a good organization, and they have good talent, and there's a chance that I can further my career, but ultimately, at the end of the day, why do I want to go somewhere where I'm not going to call the plays, right? I'm more going to be like a puppet or a figurehead in that role because Doug is going to continue to have the final say. And yeah, I think they're in a quandary. And I thought the best thing John said was no matter who they get, they're going to spin it like, oh, this is the guy we've had our eye on all along. The only thing that gives me some comfort is that, nobody wanted them to hire Doug, right? Doug they were vilified for hiring Doug Peterson, and that worked out okay. So, sometimes the hires you don't make or the people that tell you no actually ends up working out for you. We'll see.
It also doesn't really matter, I feel like. Like, it matters, absolutely. It'd be nice to have someone that Doug really enjoys working with and respects, and they can have a good working relationship, but it's part of the problem, but it also, in my opinion, PT, doesn't make it essential or, that urgent. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that.
I mean, I slightly disagree in the sense that I heard John use the phrase arranged marriage, and that's what they might end up with somebody in here like, are you okay coming in here? We're going to give you the offensive coordinator title, but really Doug's going to call the plays. He has the final say. You're going to work with him, but really he's got all the power. Are you okay with that? Welcome to the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, and that is almost the definition of like arranged marriage. One person has more power than the other person, or you're sort of fixed up blindly, and here you are, go work it out. I think there are people, including myself, that think the reason the 2017 season was so good was because Frank Reich, they had that collaboration between all the voices in the room, and they were equal voices. Frank Reich could overrule Doug, or John DeFilippo could make a suggestion that Doug would listen to. Now, they claim it's all happy, happy, joy, joy, to quote Ren and Stimpy, but the reality is that Doug has the power, and other people see that, and I think that's why they're shying away.
All right, Pete Thompson, one thing when the football season ends, it gets sad, but you start to see the Masters commercials come up, and Tiger is going to be back, man. He's 44 years old now.
Yeah, and until last year, I would have thought that no way did he have a shot at Jack's record, and now I'm thinking, like, way to go, Tiger. I mean, it's just Thursday, April 9th through Sunday, April 12th. I can't wait. A tradition like any other, no other.
Well, he's playing, this weekend at the Farmers, I think will be his first of the year, and then I guess he'll start to get his sights back for the Masters, which will be here quickly. Quickly, Peter.
I'm proud of you for not going bum, 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 bum.
No, not for me.
I'll do it.
I leave things like that to you, Pete Thompson.
Did you know that Jack Nicklaus is 80 years old?
I guess I had an inclination.
Thought he was older.
You forget. You just don't think of the Golden Bear as being 80, but he's not slowing down. He could still kick my butt on a golf course. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, well, you probably talk his ear off.
Let me tell you, Jack has tunnel vision. And he's like Arnie, a little hard of hearing. You won't hear me.
Did you watch the Aaron Hernandez yet?
I haven't. I heard you guys talking about that, and somebody came up to me at school today and asked me if I'd watched it, and I said no. It was profound, and that he was totally into it. And I forget what I went to Netflix for. I was looking for something on Netflix. It's the first thing that came up. I went and looked at something I had been watching previously and watched about 5 minutes and fell asleep. So it's on my to watch list.
Yeah, you should definitely check that out.
Yes, you should. Worthy.
A double recommendation.
Yeah,
double.
Why don't you open up Josh's mic so we can have a triple that
up.
Josh, you don't want to do that.
Excitement. He stood up in excitement. All right,
See,
Pete Thompson.
Aaron Hernandez, and it's all in the hips, and it's rotation of the hips. No.
Yeah.
Josh, I love you.
Are you en route?
No, I'm not en route yet. My other party just got here. So
okay.
The good news is I was stressing about this, but then I just remembered it's a 7:30 puck drop.
Oh, yeah, 7:30 puck drop tonight. Flyers and Penguins, you can hear the action. Tim Saunders and Steve Coates will call the action. It's the final Flyers game before the All-Star break, and then they'll have 10 days off. They'll be back next Friday, and we'll have that game against the Pens right here on 97.3 ESPN. It's a Tuesday with Thompson in the book. Peter?
Thanks, MG. Thanks for sending us.
Yeah, enjoy the game, Peter. Happy birthday.
I will, buddy. Appreciate it.
Tell Hunter we said hello.
I will.
Just don't talk his friend's ear off, right?
Oh, Hunter's sitting next to me.
Poor guy.
How rude.
Yeah.